Welcome. My name is Cory, and thanks to Sal, 2K, I'm able to share with you guys my basketball story. This story is a little different. It takes us back to the early 2000s, a time where life and basketball was just different. And by the end of this movie, you see the journey I took to get to where I am today. So grab a snack, relax, enjoy the movie.
With the first pick in the 2003 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select...
Here we are, November 2002. My name is Cory Wells, University of West Virginia shooting guard. I came all the way from Brooklyn with aspirations of making it to the NBA, and I'm one step closer to entering the 2003 NBA Draft. Well, my junior season awaits. For the first 2 years of my college career, I came off the bench. I really wasn't scoring a whole lot and didn't get a ton of minutes. Matter of fact, I wasn't even that high of a recruit. But this year, with all the seniors graduating, our team needed a new direction and a new captain. And coach decided I should step up and be that leader. And it's in my blood and my DNA to take what's mine. And in my first collegiate game in my junior season, we're going against Cory Bosh and Georgia Tech. And while I didn't know too much, I knew I saw NBA scouts in the stands watching for him. But little did they know, I came ready to steal the show. Yeah, Cory Bosh is the typical prospect that you want to draft. Tall, lanky kid that can get rebounds. But me, I'm a 6'3" shooting guard that's here to get buckets. I'm not looking to get a lot of assists, nor a lot of rebounds. I'm at my best when I'm attacking the basket with my left or my right hand, and ambidextrous. And for me, this was a chance to showcase my skill set and prove to the NBA that I can go and match up with the elites like the Stephon Marbury's, Steve Francis, even the T-Macs. You may call me undersized just a tad for my position. I'm not a point guard. I don't pretend like I know how to pass the ball with the best of them. What I do know how to do is attack whoever's in front of me and finish over top the defense. And look, don't even get me started on my handle. I got the ball on a string. Like that's just the New York in me. When we go to the park, everybody had handles. Everybody tried to play defense and everybody could attack the basket. But you had to somehow make yourself look different without even shooting a three for real. Don't get me started on my jump shot. From mid-range, it's butter. But from the three, it's brick city. I can't explain it, but when I get inside that arc, I just feel different. And my mindset is attack, attack, attack. And listen, I barely had any time to rest in my opening debut. Same could be said about Cory Bosh. Shoot, maybe I'll see him at the draft next year. But for now, I dropped a career high 34 points, 5 rebounds, and hey, don't sleep on the 4 assists either. The next day, our newspaper posted about me. Look, it was just game 1. There was starting to be a growing sense that Cory Wells might be a household name, but my best matchup was yet to come. There was another kid out of New York, freshman, named Carmelo Anthony, that decided to go to Syracuse University, and everybody knew that he was a 1-year and out player. Surprisingly, there was no bad blood between us, but as a junior, I felt like it was my duty to get his freshman buckets. But little did I know, Brody was averaging 25 points, 3 assists, and 6 boards already on the season. And look, with us both being in the Big East, it was going to make it hard for me to win Big East Player of the Year with him around. And he was giving our defenders buckets and nightmares all game. And I sure as heck wasn't going to guard him. I'm only 6'3", so my job on offense was to kill their best defender, and which I did. I told y'all, my mid-range shot is like water. Y'all should already know, since the 90s and the 80s, the Big East has always featured premier players. And tonight, 2003, me and Carmelo put on another show in the Big East lore. And I can't lie to y'all, his scoring versus my scoring just felt different, and it looked different. I was admiring it from the court. My man's like 6'8", 6'9", rising up for that mid-range shot like it was nothing else. Not to mention, he could hit the 3 if need be. And tonight, he had dropped 31 and 9 on our heads. And while he ain't passed much, there was no need. And with NBA scouts in full attendance, I can't lie to y'all, I could see Melo going number 1. But apparently there's some kid out there that's a phenom in high school that's coming straight out. So I had to see about that. But for tonight, I dropped 25 points. Despite the loss, I feel like I'm proving to scouts once again that at my size, I can get a bucket over anybody, and I'm made for the league. Win or loss, I'm here to fulfill the rest of my season at West Virginia. Speaking of which, it seemed like the more I scored and the more my stock went up, I started to become the big man on campus around here. And I got a lot of respect. With that, a lot of problems. So I just stayed ducked off into myself. so I could focus on my game. As I did, I noticed my stock would rise. I would sneak into the school's computer lab late at night so I could check on these mock drafts. And the latest ones had me going top 10, as high as number 8 to the Milwaukee Bucks. But much to my surprise, they had another guard from the Big East in front of me. With a matchup against Marquette coming up, we gonna see who's really better, me or him. Look, to paint the picture for you guys, we're at the end of the season, the Big East finale. And for us, we not a tournament team, but Marquette is. Matter of fact, they're the number 8 team in the country. And it's all led by this guy right here, named Dwayne Wade, who's also a junior. Man, it seemed like we were a mirror match, but he was 210 and I was 185. And I felt that weight difference early on in the game. So did my team. Bro came out bullying and set the tone. Marquette was one of the best teams in the country thanks to him. So the only thing I had going for myself is that I felt like I should be taken higher in the draft thanks to my scoring ability. But while Wade could score, I could score better. Maybe that's the cockiness in me. But right here, I had Dwayne Wade lost. On a mission to the basket, I finished with the power one-hand slam. And I know y'all ain't seen me dunk much, but trust me, I can get up there. With NBA scouts in full attendance, I felt like this play right here made a statement. He may be on a better team, and you can argue about his leadership being better than mine as well. But for right here and right now, I put on a performance that you can't deny. And while Wade never backed down, I decided to put my defense on him. And it made a difference. In another marquee play of the game, I reached in, got a steal, and slapped it off Dwayne Wade on the way out of bounds. And I couldn't help but smile and cheese. I know he was tight. He was so frustrated, I think he even threw the ball at the referee. I'm surprised he didn't get attacked. Regardless, we at home, and for my last collegiate game in West Virginia, put on a performance of a lifetime. And while I didn't score a career high like I did in the first game, I sure enough put on a performance that left NBA scouts salivating at the mouth. And in my opinion, I felt like this encapsulated my career. Scoring, hustling, and competing. Win or lose, I'm willing to lay it all on the line for my team. I'm letting the scouts know, whatever team takes a chance on me, you're getting a competitor. And for my three-point shot, for some reason, my mechanics just aren't all the way there. Thankfully, this ain't a three-point shooting league. It's a league for the finishers, bucket getters, slashers, and athletes. And I'm all of the above. And to cap it all off, finished tonight with 29 points, 4 assists, and 4 steals. We beat number 8 Marquette to cap off our season. And while this didn't hurt our tournament chances, West Virginia sure was grateful for me. And in my last ever West Virginia newspaper, I made sure I saved it. But as they noted, I'm off to chase my NBA dreams now. It's early June 2003, and the NBA is launching a new initiative called NBA Cares. It's not set to launch until 2005 apparently, but tonight, they're hosting the NBA Chairs charity game, inviting all the top prospects that are here for the draft to a pickup performance. The white shirts versus the red shirts. It's for charity, so you're not supposed to go that hard, but it's basketball. See, I know we brought the dogs out, and these are some of the guys I played against this year, like Carmelo, Dwayne Wade, guys that's projected to be in the lottery. There's a guy named Kirk Hinrich that apparently went to Kansas and did well in the NCAA tournament, and they say he's the best point guard in this draft. The kid that everybody got their eyes on is a kid named LeBron James out of Ohio. Look, I ain't gonna front like I know a whole lot about him, but from what I'm seeing, he's a freak athlete. Hey, and he on my team tonight, so you know I'm throwing up lives to him, and I see him go up one time, and I believed everything everybody said about him. Look, Carmelo was the best player in college in my opinion, and I'm saying that from my point of view. I expected him to go number 1, but after seeing that kid LeBron, I'm left wondering, but what's in these kids' milk, bruh? He like 6'9", 230 pounds, and he 18. I'm 21 years old, and I'm 6'3" and 185. Regardless, bro was setting the tone out here in this pickup game. He was cooking up doing a dunk I ain't never seen before. He cocked the joint back so far, bro, he was at his ankles, and it left me speechless. But I still had to come out here and do a little something for my own rep. So I had Kirk Hinrich on me. While I never played him in college, I sure enough carved him up like he was one of them other Big East guards. And I got the lay, and I feel like that was my highlight performance. Then I wasn't done. And right here, I realized Kirk was even too small for my little old self. And I backed him down, did a post spin, and a dunk off the vert. I'm telling y'all, I got that in me. Maybe I gotta show it off when I get to the league. Speaking of the league, it's my last time playing basketball until the draft. All my work is out there, and it's done for. And my agent informed me the latest mock drafts have me going as high as number 5 to the Miami Heat. Apparently, Pat Riley is in need of a scoring guard, and I feel like the right fit for most people. They're saying it's a lock. If Chris Bosh goes to Toronto, then Miami will select me with number 5. Just like a flash, I went from nowhere on the boards to start the season off to being a top 5 projected pick. And as I left West Virginia for the last time, headed back to New York for the draft, my work speaks for itself. I gave the school 23 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds on decent shooting. And now I wait to hear my name called. By this point, it was a foregone conclusion that LeBron James was the number 1 pick, staying in Ohio, playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. A match made in heaven. But what was surprising came afterwards. After LeBron went first, I thought Carmelo was going second for sure. Apparently there's a big kid named Darko Milicic that the Pistons had their eye on, which means Carmelo went third to the Nuggets. But of course, that didn't have nothing to do with me. I needed Chris Bosh to get taken 4th for me to go 5th. And well, the Raptors were up.
The Toronto Raptors select Chris Bosh from Georgia Tech University.
That can only mean one thing, right? I'm gearing up to hear my name called by the Miami Heat. My time has finally come. Miami Heat on the clock.
With the 5th pick in the 2003 NBA Draft, the Miami Heat select Dwayne Wade from Marquette University.
Wow. And what was a shock to everybody in my circle, the Miami Heat decided to take Dwayne Wade over me. I was just the best guard in the draft. Now I'm sitting here and wondering when my name is going to get called. The Clippers were up, and they needed a big man, so they got Chris Kaman. Then I saw the Bulls up, and I got hope.
2003 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Kirk Heinrich of Kansas University.
The awkwardness of not getting picked definitely hurt. But they say good things come to those who wait. And well, patience was definitely a virtue for me, because waiting may have been the best thing to happen to me.
With the 9th pick in the 2003 NBA Draft, the New York Knicks select
Cory Wells, shooting guard, University of West Virginia. I'm going home, y'all. The New York Knicks took me at the number 9 pick, and while I fell behind Dwayne Wade and Kirk Heinrich, and even TJ Ford from Texas, you can say it was destiny. I'm returning home to play for my city, my favorite team. Look, a lot of people be scared to play in the Garden, but for me, this is everything I could dream of. I didn't talk about my dreams and aspirations much in this video and my story yet, but trust me, now that I'm playing back in my hometown team, you guys will understand more. But for now, just know I made it through training camp. It was a struggle. See, this New York Knicks team was a little guard heavy. In the offseason, we got Penny Hardaway, one of my favorite players, but he's a little injury prone right now, which is why they also acquired Stephon Marbury in the offseason, one of the greatest players ever from New York City. At this point in the league, he had a bad rep for being a hothead, but I knew who the real Steph was. Growing up in New York, he was the guy, but in training camp, I wasn't. I was missing my shots. Things just weren't going perfect for me. The vets, well, they were doing vet things. I was getting ripped, turning the ball over in practice and scrimmages, so much so that I knew I wasn't going to be a starter. Matter of fact, I was really just hoping I would get minutes. My first game of the season found us in Vancouver, played the Grizzlies. While it was fun getting to watch my boy Steph Marbury up close, and it was surreal sitting next to Penny Hardaway on the bench, I was just anxious to see if I could check in the game at some point. Sure enough, coach called my number, said 0. Let me see what you could do out there, young buck. With what felt like the weight of New York on my shoulders, I was set to check in my first NBA game. And while I didn't know what was ahead, I felt like the name Cory Wells would mean something one day. And who knows, maybe somebody 20 years from now will be telling my story. For now, welcome to 2003. The year is 2003, and in the NBA world, a lot happened. After winning NBA championships in 2000, 2001, and 2002, the Lakers will fall short to the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference semifinals. And Tim Duncan and the Spurs going to win the NBA championship, beating the New Jersey Nets in 6 games, sending David Robinson out in style. For Tim Duncan, he was awarded his 2nd Finals MVP in his short career thus far. But as a legend was being born, we got to say goodbye to arguably the greatest player of all time. Maybe not arguably. Michael Jordan announced his retirement this season and said goodbye to the NBA world. Well, you know what they say, out with the old and with the new. And in this year's draft class, we saw LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Dwayne Wade go in the top 5. Then there's me. I was supposed to be a top 5 pick myself, but due to some unfortunate circumstances, I fell short. But some would say I fell to the right situation. And excuse me, My name is Cory Wells, if you didn't know me already. I attended the University of West Virginia, and during my junior season, I balled out. My first 2 years, I came off the bench, but in my third year, I doubled my scoring average, averaging over 20 a game, got my name mentioned with the likes of all the top prospects, and while I was sure that I was going top 5, I'm right where I belong, New York City. It's October of 2003, and I'm ready to make my NBA debut on the road. We're in Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia to be exact, and I'm in for a treat. I get to see white chocolate Jason Williams versus New York City legend Steph Marbury, my teammate. And after going from being the guy at West Virginia, I'm right back to the bench like I was my freshman and sophomore season. I'm sitting behind guys like Penny Hardaway and Steph, not to mention Allen Houston. So I'm watching this game, low-key bored. Look, it feels like I got a taste of stardom last year at West Virginia by scoring all the points and being that guy. So coming back to the bench was a slap to reality. And in the back of my head, I knew guys like Carmelo, LeBron, and probably even D-Wade were getting the chance to start off the rip. But for me, I had to wait my turn behind guys like Allen Houston, who was in the prime of his career. It didn't really seem to be settling down anytime soon. So I had to be patient, watch the vets, and in the huddles, I had to really listen to what the coach was saying, even though I wasn't sure when I was getting the game or not. And when my time was called and my turn was up, I stretched, said a little quick motivation to myself, looked at coach and said, "I'm good," put me in. And as I was checking into the game, my nerves started to flare up a little bit. I got what I've been asking for. But see, when you make it to the league, everybody knows you're a rookie. And when you're a rookie, they test you. So Shane Battier of the Vancouver Grizzlies thought I was sweet and tried to take it right to me on a fast break. But I held my ground and forced a turnover to Dikembe Mutombo. As soon as we got the ball, I had tunnel vision. I tried to take it right back to him, and for my first career shot attempt, off the glass and missed it. I know coach was disappointed. So on the following possession, I got in the fast break, and in transition, I powered it down for my first career points as an NBA player. A one-handed slam. I told you I can get up for a dunk. May not have been nothing flashy, but it worked. But for the rest of the game, I have to admit, I couldn't buy a bucket. And as a scorer, my tendency was to shoot myself out of slump. That didn't work. That landed me right back on the bench, wondering when my minutes would come back again. As I was watching the game from the sidelines, and I finally checked back in the game, I had to settle down and realize I really made it to the league, and I'm playing for my hometown squad, and I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. But it didn't matter too much this game. My shot was just clearly off. I'm talking about wide open jumpers were hitting the back of the rim. So much so, it just had me questioning everything at this point. And I knew I was getting taken out the game ASAP. Coach didn't waste any time. Thankfully for me, my teammates picked up all the slack. And despite my poor shooting performance and game overall, we would get the dub in Vancouver and head back home 1-0. And for me, I got back to the crib and realized, listen, I'm back in my hometown city, and we got our first game at Madison Square Garden of the season. I know the crowd is going to be electric with all my family being there. I'm ready for my debut. New York City, big city of dreams, and I'm back home. And guess what? We playing the Detroit Pistons, who to a lot of people got a lot of hope from winning the championship this season. Some people believe they might be the best team in the Eastern Conference. I'm not one of those people. Now that I'm a Knick, my confidence is through the roof in my team. But I gotta admit, looking across and seeing Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, and Rasheed Wallace, it's a little intimidating. When I see my guy Steph Marbury coming through the huddle in the pregame, my confidence instantly skyrockets. And of course, I'm starting this game off watching from the bench. While Chauncey would never be my assignment as the point guard, I still was studying his game, as well as my guy Steph's. I had to learn how to make an impact on check-in, and I was ready and itching to get in the game for my Garden debut. Coming to these games as a kid, seeing Starks, Ewing, and all those guys ball out against Michael Jordan, my time is finally here. So with the ball in my hands, I wasted no time and got a layup for my first bucket as a New York Knick in MSG, and it felt great. The crowd was hyped, the feeling was electric, and I knew my family was proud of me. But very similar to the last game, bruh. After I made a shot, it seemed like I couldn't buy a bucket, and against the Pistons, I knew that wouldn't work. So I had to chill out with chucking shots and let my guys take over, like Steph. When coach would sub me out, I would just be plotting and scheming of what I was going to do when I got back in the game. And this time, I went up for an easy two-handed flush over Ben Wallace, who was one of the elite rim protectors and defenders in the NBA. But I didn't see him at the time. All I saw was myself putting the ball in the basket. And in this game, I finished with 6 points, 3 rebounds, on only 2 of 4 shooting. And we got the dub. And for our season, we got off to a great start. Because after this win, We'll get another win at home, start the year off 3-0. So much so that the New York Times and the New York fans were excited. The city thinks that we're back. Despite my slow start, the team is up right now, and the city is rolling. In 03 in the NBA, there was 3 guys at the 2-guard position that you had to fear for whenever they came to your city. One was AI, other was Kobe, third is TMac. There was reason to believe he could have been the most talented out of all 3 of them, especially on the offensive side. About 6'7", 6'8", could get to any spot on the court and rise up over any defender, especially the ones at the 2 position. And for me, on the bench, I'm watching this guy come to our garden and light us up in the first quarter. I'm talking about he dropped over 20 points on efficient shooting, and I'm just sitting there not even itching to get in the game at this point. I thought I was confident, but dang, I knew that was going to be my matchup whenever it was time for me to check in. And even my OGs had their face in their palms. And right here, I saw TMac rise over Kurt Thomas and put him on a crazy poster. I knew that was going to be all over the shoe stores in a matter of time. And this dude was incredible. But I ain't had time to be a fan on the bench. Shoot, our fans were tired of being fans at that point. I knew I had a job to do when I came in the game, just to show no fear, stretch up, and get ready to guard up. Because this man was a problem. The only problem is for me, I'm only 6'4", and I didn't realize how big of a height difference it was, going from 6'4" to 6'7". Imagine all these thoughts running through your head at the scores table, getting ready to check in the game. And they gave the ball to me off the rip, and right on cue, this man TMac is guarding me. And while I tried to make a simple post entry pass, he picked it off. And in transition, this man hits a series of tween dribbles, has me backpedaling, and when I think he's going to the basket, he pulls up for the 3-pointer and cash. Right in my face, in the garden. And I couldn't do nothing but sit there and sulk. But in the meantime, I say, you know what? The way I was raised, I'm gonna come right back down court and rise up myself. And it wasn't a 3, nor was it over TMac. But I just shot it to redeem myself. But on the other side, TMac sought me out on defense. I guess he thought he had a lick on me. And he was right. Bro took it right to my chest with the layup. And I have to admit, I didn't see it, but I felt like he stared me down after he made the layup. So my natural instinct was to come back and destroy him. Only problem is, we not on the city of New York and in the parks. We in a real NBA game with a real NBA defender, and he was boxing me up. But the team just let me continue to dribble, so eventually I got around him after he fell asleep on defense and posted his center in the paint. When he stepped off, I stepped up for the slam, and the garden erupted. Look, TMac was torching us, no doubt. I'm just a rookie, but I felt like in that moment, I had a chance to display my confidence and my never back down ability. I even smiled to myself thinking, hey, he going out the game right now, ain't he? Maybe this is my chance to step up and take over this game. So as soon as he hit the bench, I didn't know who they had guarding me, but I knew it was sweet. I rose up for the easy mid-range, and the team was feeding me. But little did I know the TMac would check right back into the game as soon as I got another bucket. I guess that's the weird competitiveness in him. I gotta respect it. And right back on cue, he was boxing me up, but the team continued to feed me. But as the shot clock was winding down and my options were few, I had the force of a terrible shot, and he was right there barely having to jump and sent me back to the bench. The only thing I could do over there was hope that my team could squeak out yet another dub, despite me not really performing as well as I want to. At one point I checked back in the game, and I thought things were sweet in the paint. I rose up and got sent back by Juwan Howard. Now at this point, I felt like this was one of my welcome to the NBA moments. That was one of the most disrespectful blocks I've ever had done on me in my entire basketball career. And as I was headed back to the other side of the court, I could already hear that whistle blowing. I knew my time in this game was over with. Coach put me right back out the game. But despite the blocks I had a pretty solid performance, I could say myself. Obviously my best game of the season to date. I dropped 8 points, 4 of 8 shooting. But I had to still shake my head. I couldn't help my team secure our dub. We lost the first game of our season, the TMac. I have to admit, I love AI, and I haven't been against Kobe yet, but if you telling me there's a better guard than TMac in the league right now, I might be in trouble. We only about 5 games into the NBA season, but I had to check and see how the other rookies were doing. As we know, I was supposed to go top 5 in the draft, but things didn't work out. But the other guys that were ahead of me were all starting and doing well for their teams, like Carmelo. It seemed like Denver gave him the keys and let him be the scoring threat he was in college. I gotta admit, I love to see that. Out in Ohio, the whole city of Cleveland gave LeBron the keys and said, listen, hometown hero, lead us to the promised land. The dude from Akron, 18-year-old, probably more athletic than 90% of the league right now. And with Jordan retiring, they're facing the NBA in good hands with these dudes. I'm hoping to be up there with them. But for right now, LeBron LeBron might have the best situation out of all of us. He may be surviving off his pure athleticism right now, but if he gets a jump shot, look out. And in Miami, the guy that got taken ahead of me, where I'm supposed to be at, Dwayne Wade. As much as I hate to admit it, he's also been hooping. Miami put him in a starting lineup surrounded by other vets. You can see the future is quite bright. And with his killer pump fake that he's already started to develop in the league, and with his speed, he can score 25 on you in a flash. We in Cleveland, Ohio for the biggest game of my career thus far. I'm going against the aforementioned LeBron James, and at the beginning of the game, he came out on fire. I'm talking about windmill slam dunks that you just don't see in games like that. Vince Carter-esque. And for me, I already had my face in my palms, bruh. But I had to shake that off as coach would call my name early. With Cleveland having Big Z and LeBron down inside, I knew I had to go to work on these guards. The only rough part about being in my position is watching the other rookies demand the ball on offense. But as for me, I gotta play my part. I may go minutes without seeing the ball, running baseline to baseline trying to get good cuts. When I do have the ball in my hands, best believe I'm making the most out of it. In this game, that started off with a smooth layup, and in transition I get a steal. Of course I ain't pulling no three, but I see my boy Kurt Thomas cutting to the basket for an easy assist. As soon as I started to get a little rhythm going, we go to matchup of the century, in my head at least. LeBron stepped out to guard me, and while he was clearly bigger and stronger than me, I didn't really faze me much. He started to box me up a little bit, so I gave the ball to Dikembe, who gave it right back to me in a favorable position. And I had LeBron, who was not moving in front of me. So I decided to hit him with a little left or right cross, and while he bumped me, I rose right up over him for the easy mid-range bucket. And at that point, I felt like I could score over anybody on this team. I was already on pace to have my best career game, and Bron had his jumper working tonight. For a minute, we was going back and forth, until this possession where I decided to rise up over Darius Miles and dunk all over his cornrows. And this might have been the best dunk of my early career, as I rose up with one outstretched arm and hand and slammed it. And in front of the Cleveland crowd and the NBA fans alike, I knew this was a big moment in my early career. Listen, I wasn't getting all the minutes or the top 5 picks, nor all the points, but I felt like my time was coming soon. And I got to play for my hometown team and my hometown Threads. Who got it better than that? Oh, well, LeBron does. And at the end of the game, we was down 3. If LeBron hit one free throw, the game would basically be over with. And after missing the first, he would squat down, rise up, and brick the second. So in transition, we got a chance to tie the game with a 3 at the end of the game. Allen Houston would pull up and brick. Game over. Just like that, I lost chapter 1 of my matchups versus Bron. I knew we had a couple more to go this season, so I wouldn't stress. Regardless, I knew this was going to be a matchup for me that I had circled every time. And LeBron got the best of it this time for sure. Who knows, he might get the best of it forever. But I wasn't going to be one to back down from a challenge. And for me, I performed as best as I could. I dropped a career-high 13 points, career-high 3 assists, and 4 rebounds. And while it may seem outlandish to most, and pretty unrealistic, I'm out to prove that I'm the best rookie in the 03 class. After taking the loss against LeBron James in Cleveland, I decided to stay back in the gym, get some free throws up. I felt like I needed to clear my head a little bit. Listen, being a rookie is a little more stressful than I imagined. I feel like I'm having a solid season. About 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Not bad, but I'm always going to be compared to the guys in my class. We're about a couple months into the season, entering December, and I feel like I'm on the edge. I'm ready for my time to shine. Well, after we got back to New York, we ended up taking on the Atlanta Hawks, the Garden. And in this game, I had a career night. I felt untouchable and unstoppable. Felt like I was hooping at the Rucker for a minute, or back in my old high school. Felt like nobody on the court could guard me, my handles were on a string, and I can get to the basket by any means necessary. And listen, I already told y'all, my goal is to be the best player in this 03 class. And while it may be far-fetched, I have more nights like tonight, it may not be that far away. And tonight, everything was working. My mid-range jump shot, butter. They gonna have to put me on Slam Magazine after tonight. I may be getting a little carried away, but the most important thing to me was I was getting the respect from my teammates and the fans. I put on the show at the Garden, dropping 27 points, 3 assists, 2 steals. And look, while the Hawks weren't the greatest of teams, matter of fact, they were one of the worst teams. It don't matter, it's my career night. And to cap it all off, I went in on Steve Smith for a crazy poster. Told that man, might be your time to retire, my boy. Respect it. And in the New York Times, I got some shine. I don't think y'all understand how fire it is to see yourself in the newspaper the next day, especially in New York City. Anything could be posted about sports, but it was me. And at this moment, I felt like I was finally getting the chance to show the people why I was projected to go top 5 in the first place. But let me not get too ahead of myself, because we about to go back on the road and face somebody that's at my position doing it way better. This fateful night in December finds us in the city of brotherly love, taking on that one guy, the former league MVP, former leading scorer in the league, guy that took the 76ers to the finals when nobody believed in it, and actually won a game. Listen, everybody wanted to be like Jordan, no doubt. When AI hit the league, I'm telling you, it changed everything. Tattoos, accessories, swag, braids. I know I don't even got hair myself. At the end of the day, this was my favorite player. And getting in the game with him meant everything to me. My nerves were building up. And then I seen how he was cooking out in Houston with that patented crossover, getting to the basket with ease. Dreams to reality for real. This is who I model my game after. And now I'm going against the real thing. AI was getting to the basket with ease to start this game. It was cooking us. And coach was about to check me in to do what exactly? Stop him? Not me. The way he just did Penny Hardaway, sent him into the first row of the stands, cooked him, and hit the jump shot. Man, Penny was also one of my favorite players growing up as well. But it was just something about AI that was different. My man Penny Hardaway could not recover from that, and coach couldn't believe it. So you know what time it meant for me. I had to get myself together, get my thoughts in order, and get ready to check into this game. And after seeing Allen Houston get done up like that at Penny Hardaway, felt like I was next for a minute. But you know what? I'm used to facing adversity. So I checked into the game for Penny and immediately got checked on the AI. And after fighting through some screens, I tried to hold my ground as long as I could. This man was hitting me with every dribble move I could think of. And I was right there the whole time. I promise you. And just when it seemed like he was going to score over me, my man's Dikembe Mutombo came over with the block and saved my life. And on offense, I tried to go right back. Felt like I was in my AI bag for a minute. And as the first quarter was coming to a close, I hit the buzzer beater from a mid-range, and I started to feel good. Coach's staff kept me in the game at the beginning of the second quarter, and I immediately cooked my rookie mate Kyle Korver, who had cinder blocks for feet. I'm sorry, bro, but I got around him, Samuel Dallenberg, for the smooth layup. And I was looking like a mini AI for a second, then had to guard him again. And I started realizing how good he was, bro. When you watch somebody on TV, it's one thing, but when you gotta stand in front of it, it's a whole nother. But I tried to go right back at him like my nature. I went back at TMac, so why wouldn't I go back at AI? And I scored over him. I mean, technically, I got the size advantage over him, so I'm not really scared of him on offense. It's the other side of the court where it gets a little murky. But on this side, I was being aggressive, taking it right to the basket. I'm trying to show my teammates, my coaching staff, the fans, that I'm here. And trust me, I may be a fan of these dudes, but I'm from New York City. Don't back down for nobody. Word to Steph Marbury, who also started getting his bag himself. And we were trying to fight in this game, even though AI dropped a nuclear bomb on us in the first half. But as the game went along, and the more I sat on the bench, AI went right back to cooking us. They even let him get involved in the passing game. And he was getting floaters, jump shots, anything he wanted in the paint. It was looking real sweet out there. For some reason, the coaching staff didn't throw me back in the game until late in the second half. And I was getting frustrated, yet I was fascinated. This man had the whole city of Philadelphia out at the game, cheering loud, and all I could do was sit there with my arms crossed and folded, and slowly realized this game just got away from us. AI, he dropped a bomb on us today. He went crazy on everybody that guarded him. Van Horn, Penny, Allen Houston, shoot, even me. And he ended up dropping 49 points, 4 steals on us at home. Incredible performance. As for me, I was alright. I had 14 points in a short time span, but AI took over the headlines, even in the New York Times. At this point, AI was considered the best shooting guard in the league, along with Kobe. And I couldn't do nothing but move on to the next game. At the end of the day, still a rookie. But in that practice that we got back home, I took it out on the whole team. I was pissed. I felt like if I was in the game more, things could have went different. I'm from New York, bro. I'm not finna just stand there and let somebody fry me. But at the end of the day, all I could do was just show out in practice and hope I can get more minutes in the game. I knew my time would come eventually if I put the work in. And we not a bad team, so I respect the rotation. When you consider the guys that got taken before me in the draft, the Wades, LeBrons, Carmelos, even Chris Bosh, got a long way ahead of me to get right. And everybody else is starting. So me coming off the bench, I got an extra chip on my shoulder. So every practice, every time I step on the court and got the ball in my hands, I'm thinking about my future. I'm I'm thinking about showing out to feed my family. And the way things were going, I could feel it in my bones. A takeover was emerging. That initial intimidation factor of the NBA had left my body. Now, the whole NBA world's gonna know who I am. After getting torched by Allen Iverson, it seemed like that put a fuel in everybody's tank, especially mine. And it didn't take much for me, but I came out the gates for the month of December, torching every team we played, off the bench. And listen, most nights weren't always perfect, but if you ask me, I had one of the best months you could ask for from a rookie from a scoring perspective. Listen, they didn't expect me to pass the ball or get a lot of rebounds. My job was to come off the bench and get buckets. And trust me, that's exactly what I did no matter who we were playing, on the road or at home. I'm gonna get some of the best teams and some of the worst. Everybody got buckets. I don't discriminate. And I even improved my passing game as well. My breakout finally came. And it was early too. Listen, I know I'm not putting up monster numbers every night, but for myself, in the month of December, I averaged almost 19 points, 3 assists, and even got on the glass. And the city of New York embraced me. The hometown kid off the bench, doing exactly what they drafted me for. And listen, I'm not no 6'7", 6'8", hybrid, strong, big body, athletic freak. I'm a 6'3", 6'4" guard. But I know my role on the court, and I never wavered from it. And as the month of December came to a close and the year of 2003 was ending, I had one more matchup against a familiar foe back at the Garden. The last game of the month of December has us pitted up against a familiar foe, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Last time we played them, they got the best of us in Cleveland, taking game 1 of the matchup against me and Bron. But this time around, we had Madison Square Garden with it. And in the month of December, I'm playing out of my mind, and the team is playing really well ourselves. So out the gate, I wasted no time. At the end of the day, ain't like Bron guarding me. I don't care who he got on his team. Matter of fact, I don't even know who the guards are on this team for real. All I know is I'm having a great month. But hey, at the end of the day, I gotta know my role. In transition, this man LeBron bodied me out of the way and finished with an easy layup. And I already told y'all I'm not an athletic freak, but I'm gonna get to the basket by any means necessary, as best as I know how to. And in transition, like I said, if it ain't Bron, nobody's stopping me. And I found my open guy Allen Houston in the corner for a 3. And at this point, the coach staff kind of lets me rock at times on the court. They draw some plays up, but they know my isolation bag is different. Even when LeBron James guarded me and a hand contested, I'm gonna get the bucket regardless. I tried to get my post-up game going, he wasn't going for it, so I took it right to his chest, got an and one. Look, I hope y'all think my great month of December was gonna stop for this team. I was on a mission, and I remember being at the free throw line going for my and one. The Knicks fans started trolling, chanting Rookie of the Year. Matter of fact, I'd have been trolling, because after this move right here, I put on Darius Miles, I had him touching the court and went up for the crazy one-handed slam. I'm talking about twister moves. I had him reaching for something on the ground, it was not there. And I reached in the sky with the tomahawk. And we reached the dub at the end of the game. And I finished with 24 points. Listen, I ain't a passer, but tonight I passed this test as we got the dub over Cleveland, cap off a great month. Even D Miles had to come talk to me after the game, let him know, hey, that was a good move right there, young buck. I know. And LeBron, he could do nothing but watch as the Cavs lost, and he had a solid performance himself. But I stole the show today. In the New York Times, they showed me mad love, and even they're pushing the Rookie of the Year campaign. But how can I be a Rookie of the Year and I ain't even starting? Going into the new calendar year of 2004, the coaching staff deemed fit that I'll become a starter. And due to some injuries, it made sense. And I remember my first game as a starter came against Baron Davis, aka B. Diddy. He was one of my favorite players to watch as a teenager. He got the special moves. It seemed like he was just bopping out there on the court. And that's something I can relate to as well. Against the Hornets, they put David Wesley on me for some strange reason. I had this bald head man backpedaling, trying to figure out what just happened to him. Yeah, bro, I'm here. I'm looking to carry over the great month of December into January. And despite B. Diddy having a great performance, I was hooping as well. Talk about mid-range on locks. Now the fans are starting to realize this ain't a fluke. I might actually really be that guy. I dropped 22 points in my first career start, and I felt comfortable. My minutes were up, and my production was just at the same level it was when I was off the bench. That's all you could ask for. But I remember coming back to practice after the game. Coach staff performance due to injuries, we had to sign some veterans, one of which being NBA legend Walter Brown. See, Walter was drafted back in 1983, and he done seen everybody, from Magic, Larry, Michael, even Kareem. But now, he's just looking to be a voice in the locker room. He could provide a little something on the court. I'm not sure what. The league a little different from when he got drafted. He done already scored enough points, got enough rebounds and assists, but he's in his 21st season. At this point in his career, he's coming here to give advice, spit game, and be an extension of the head coach. And little did I know, as a rookie, I actually really needed that. Peep game. There was this one game we were in Chicago. Y'all remember Kirk Heinrich, that dude from Kansas, the kid that got drafted ahead of me as a point guard. I never played against him. Yeah, him. Man, Walter had the whole scouting report on him. Told me every move he was gonna make and everything I needed to know. That helped me big time. But little did I know, I wouldn't even be going against Kirk. For the most part, I'm seeing this kid named Jamal Crawford from Seattle. I'm telling you, I thought I had the ball in the string. I thought I can get to the basket. When I stood in front of him, I saw my life flash before my eyes. This man hit a tornado spin move layup that I ain't never seen in the NBA court to this date. I'm like, who is this? High socks, #1, Lil Fro. Bro was cooking me up, and I had no answers in the first half. So when I got back to the bench, my boy Walt gave me game. He said, stay in front of him, don't go for no fakes. If he hits you with a crazy move, just get it back on the other side of the court. So I went from being down about it to eager to check back into the game. When I had Jamal on me, I said bet. I hit him with my own moves. I couldn't do no tornado spin move layup, but I knew how to power right through a defender and get to the basket. And it wasn't perfect by any means. But out there in Chicago, we got the job done. Dropped a calm 19 points, even got some assists in the game as well. And while I ain't shoot well from the field, I shot well enough to get the victory. But I just remember this was one of the games where Walt helped me big time. I feel like he'll be influential in my career. As a matter of fact, he told me something after this game that changed my whole mindset. He told me, son, I don't like your one-on-one game. I said, what? I almost laughed in his face. I took that as a sign of disrespect. Being from New York City, all we do is ones. He said, son, let me show you how you really get it done in the NBA level. So I said, bet. We got back home from the road trip. We decided to run runs after practice. And here I am, thinking I'm the man. We do this all the time where I'm from. But I was hitting him with all the moves and got nowhere. Alright, you got me. I missed my first shot. I gave the ball back to him thinking I'm gonna steal it from him and get it right back. Little did I know, man was hitting me with the most simple of post-ups, backing me down all the way underneath the basket and hitting the little sky hook, or just going right off the glass with it. And I realized at this level, it ain't about being flashy, it ain't about crossing somebody over all the time. It's about getting to your spot and getting the most easy of baskets that you can get in as little time as possible. And that's exactly what OG was showing me. And I didn't have the size to keep up with him, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I tried my best out there. Whenever I got the ball back, I was trying to do what I do best. Hit him with an array of dribble moves and get open. But when you got a great defender in front of you in the NBA, it ain't that easy. So I tried his way. I tried to post him up, and I tried to go back down and hit a post fadeaway. And when I did, it was nothing but backboard. That just wasn't my game right now. But I quickly adapted. And eventually, I knew I'd get the hang of it. But OG got it right now. And he treated me like an ultimate rookie. He blocked my shot and told me, go get the ball, Rook. I ain't gonna get it. I wanted to be mad so much, but I gotta do nothing but respect game. At the end of the day, OG was teaching me the ropes. And my initial anger turned to appreciation. And I remember the first game after the ones, we played the Toronto Raptors back at the crib. And I was feeling a little bit differently. I started to really take pride in the fact that I needed to be able to score over my defender by any means necessary, even if that means trying to post up. And I clearly wasn't the biggest of guys, but it's something about putting your arm in a defender's chest, creating a little bit extra separation, and being able to turn around fade that does wonders. Just ask Kobe and Mike. And at this point in the season, around the end of January, I feel like I'm just floating right along. The coaching staff threw me in the storm, and I survived. Since becoming a starter, I can honestly say I've been hooping. In front of the fans, in front of the pressure. Since becoming a starter, I've been averaging 17 points and almost 4 assists a game, not to mention getting 4 boards. I even snuck in a Rookie of the Week, but to be honest with y'all, this rookie class is better than I expected. LeBron, Carmelo, Chris Bosh, and even D-Wade, all averaging over 20 points a game as rookies, and they've been starting the entire season. So my competition is steep. I'm a little late to the race, but OG told me it's a marathon, not a sprint. You're gonna be alright. And I believed him. I remember there was one game we were playing our rival, the New Jersey Nets. And at this point, the Nets had just came off the finals appearance, so they were the better team by far. But I hit Kerry Kittles with the nastiest of moves in transition and got to the basket for the highlight dunk. And this was by far my favorite move at this point in my career. I mean, Kerry Kittles was a great defender, and I had him stumbling backwards trying to hold on to something for balance. And I went up for the slam, and while everybody was going crazy and shook, OG saw something I didn't see. Whole time I was hooping, he started to realize his team was starting to fall apart. Hey, individual stats don't matter when the team doesn't have success. Right now, we were losing. We ended up losing to the New Jersey Nets on the road, and I started to realize we were in February and we were not playing our best basketball. Offense was not smooth. The vets on this team were all playing like bums. And I started to sit on the bench wondering, is this what the NBA life is really like? All the ups and all the downs. I remember this one possession we had against the Orlando Magic kind of fit our whole month of February. Whole bunch of misses, and even we got second and third chances and opportunities, it didn't even matter because we took the wrong shot and missed regardless. And I remember sitting on the bench wondering who's going to be that veteran that sparked the change on his team. Who's going to be the voice we needed to change things up, get back on track. We about to be in the March. We done flipped all the way from a top 4 team in the East to the number 9 seed right now. We're in desperate need of change. Well, there was one practice where everything came to a head. At the end of February, things were just not going the team's way. Practices were sloppy, guys were missing on practice, some guys were hurt. Other than that, dudes was just trash. And regardless how much energy I brought to practice, I couldn't make up for the vet struggles. I'm still a rookie on this team, by the way. So expecting me to just take over seemed a little bit unrealistic, but I brought as much energy as possible. Positivity didn't seem to seep through to everybody. Frustrations were boiling, hands were being thrown, scuffles were breaking out. Meanwhile, I was just floating through practice like regular. But this wasn't a regular practice. No matter how many buckets I put up, things spilled over way too much. And the worst part was a little scuffle that broke out between Penny Hardaway and Allen Houston. Look, everybody knew that Penny felt like he should be a starter over Allen Houston, but Houston was balling. But when the team losing, all the frustrations come right back out. He would shove Allen and leave. As a matter of fact, that pushed Penny right off the team. The Knicks decided to trade Penny Hardaway to the Boston Celtics. Got Vin Baker back, as well as some other veteran players. But to be honest, I feel like this was something we may have needed. A shake-up. We got some new voices on the team and in the locker room. And as for Penny, that was my guy, but it felt like he was letting his frustrations take over the whole team. We don't need that right now. In the month of March, every game matters. Speaking of that, it's time to renew a college rivalry on the NBA level. Wells vs. Wade, Part 2. First time around, I got the best of him. But this time, we're on the NBA stage, and it means more. At this point in the NBA season, you ask around, the people would say Dwayne Wade is having a better season than me. I couldn't really argue that. And out the gate, this man was taking it straight to me. It's no secret, Wade is stronger than me. He about 200 pounds, and I'm about 180. So his post-up game was elite, I have to admit. Even though we rivals, game is game. This man pump fake, post-up ability was elite already. And he was cooking me so much at the beginning of this game that my OG Vin Baker had to come and lay him on the ground and send a message that it wasn't gonna be like that. And I had to wake up myself, realize, listen, 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years from now, kids could be looking back at this rivalry, and this might be the beginning of it. I don't want to get off to a bad start. After D-Wade dropped about 10 points in the first quarter, coach put me back on the bench and let OG talk to me. Bro was telling me, calm down, relax. It's game 48 minutes. Get back in there, get back to your roots. And I did just that. I had Dwayne Wade on the isolation, and I gave him a taste of his own medicine. I backed down. Well, I didn't get that far. I spun off him quick and hit a patented turnaround post fadeaway that I had been working on thanks to OG. All that easy Wade post-up stuff was not flying in the second quarter. And I came back and hit him with the most nasty behind the back, attacked the basket like nobody was there, and finished with the finesse smooth layup. Look, AI, Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, y'all can say they better than me, but trying to tell me D Wade is a better player than me, I'm gonna take that personal. But in this one possession in the third quarter, bro was locking me up. I didn't realize his D was that good. He forced me to pass out of it. When I got it back, I traveled. I remember just standing there at one point, frustrated, couldn't believe it. But nature of the game, bruh. Gotta get back to it. Later on in the game, it was close, so every possession counted. Y'all gotta remember, the Heat vs Knicks rivalry has been real, all thanks to Pat Riley. So this matchup means a lot more than people think. So Wade vs Wells might be a thing for centuries. For right now, I was just focused on getting this victory. So in the fourth quarter, the team was winning, and coach put me back in the game to close the deal out. And I said bet. And I'm thinking I'm about to lock up Dwayne Wade for the rest of this game. Mano y mano. But little did I know they would have me on Eddie Jones, and I ain't respect his jump shot at all. But he drained the three to tie the game up with a little over a minute left. And after forcing his turnover to Dwayne Wade, we ended up getting the ball right back. And in the tie ball game, we trusted Allen Houston with the basketball. He got blocked from behind. Thankfully, Dikembe was there to clean it up. And up 2 points, we lost our matchups, and Dwayne Wade found Lamar Odom down underneath the basket to tie the game up with about 14 seconds left. And in that moment, all I could think about was making an everlasting moment, staking my claim as Wade vs Wells rivalry. With Stephen Marbury out, the ball was going to be in my hands for this last shot. I asked coach to trust me with it. If I fail, he never got to give it back to me again. So with the time winding down, I got back to my favorite spot on the court, on the right side. I put up for my favorite jump shot, mid-range, game on the line. 1 second left, the ball in the air, my heart beating fast, went in the basket. Just like that, I gave my team a 2-point lead in a crucial game over the Miami Heat with 0.4 seconds left on the clock. Everybody was hyped. The arena got instantly quiet. Nobody expected a rookie to pull this shot and hit it over Eddie Jones. And for me, this was the biggest shot of my life. With our team fighting for our playoff lives at this point of the season, everything mattered. And with little time on the clock, Lamar threw up a shot and it didn't go in. We were still a victory on the road against Miami. In the Wade vs Wells rivalry, game 1 on the NBA level, took a victory. And I celebrated. And I made sure D Wade heard me too. He balled out for sure. But for me, I dropped 23, got 2 steals, and a game winner on the road. I'm keeping my team alive in the playoff race. The city of New York can look to me to be that leader that y'all need to get us over the hump. Like I said, with Stephen Marbury out with injury, I'm the guy right now. Me, Allen Houston, Dikembe Mutombo, we gotta lead this team to victory. And as for D Wade, he was a little sad and upset, but he had a look on his face. That look of a killer that was coming back. This rivalry was far from over. Just look at it. But for tonight and going forward, I'll enjoy the win. As the season was drawing to a close, the victories were getting harder to come by, and the teams weren't getting any easier. Matter of fact, the road trip took us to LA in the matchup against the best team in the NBA. Before I can even get into that, before the game, I'm talking about early in the morning, I had to get to the Staples Center and take it all in, get my free throws up, and just relish in the moment. Kid from New York, West Virginia, now I'm finally in the Staples Center playing the LA Lakers, the team I was just watching in my dorm room, repeat. My matchup is none other than Kobe Bryant. And at this point in the NBA, Kobe Bryant was revered as the best shooting guard in the league. Him and AI used to have battles. And hey, a lot of people feel like Iverson is better because Kobe got Shaq. But if you a hooper, especially at my level playing in the NBA, you realize number 8, just a different breed. So with Kobe and Shaq, this Lakers team was at 55 wins on the season and only 8 losses. And at the end of the season, they were looking to try to make history, to go with the Chicago Bulls, the greatest record in NBA history. And Kobe was averaging over 30 a game, not to mention 6 rebounds. And everybody always clowned him for his lack of passing. But why would he? Shoot, if he was, they got big number 34 down there in the paint hold it down. But for my matchup, Kobe was already out the gate frying me. And Dikembe, he couldn't hold a torch to Shaq right now. This Lakers team was in full force. A lot of people felt like they were on the verge of breaking up, so this season they were out to prove that they still had another championship in them. And tonight, felt like I was invisible at the beginning of this game. Kobe was going right up over me for the mid-range buckets. Coach was calling timeouts. Things just weren't changing. With a lot of guys hurt right now, I was getting all of these minutes. On the offensive side of the ball, Matters just continued to get worse. Kobe was guarding me, and what I didn't realize is how good of a defender he was. He always gets credit for his offensive side of the ball, but I was locked up in prison. And on the other side, it didn't matter if I was guarding him or not. He was getting right to his spots and getting the bucket every time. And that's something as an offensive player myself, I can appreciate. Just like OG told me, get to your spots, waste as little time as possible, and be as efficient as possible. And right on cue, did the complete opposite. Matter of fact, this man Kobe showed me so much disrespect, he left me wide open at the three-point line and barely looked my way. And I passed up on it. But the next time around, it was like I had to take the shot. And I took it, and y'all know the results. That's just not my game, and he knew it. He read the scout report on little old me to a T. The man was out there playing mind games on me, hitting me with unlimited jabs and pump fakes, all while keeping his pivot. Ultimately, just to get to the same spot on the court, hit the same bucket. Post, fade, jumper, mid-range, turnaround bucket. And as if his first half wasn't already amazing enough, right before the buzzer he pulled up for a 3, with 2 seconds left, and hit it right over my face. In the second half, it was more the same thing, but this time Shaq was getting way more involved. If it wasn't one, it was the other. Shaq to Kobe, Kobe to Shaq. Shoot, at one point, I forgot who even else was out there for the Lakers. By the time I got back in the game, it was a blowout. I was just trying to get my numbers up. That ain't work. Shaq pinned my shot off the glass on the other end. He just bullied my man's Keith Van Horn, put him right underneath the basket, and I got the easy layup. I'm telling y'all, bro, this team was different. Look, I know the Spurs just beat them, but I find it hard to believe that this team at full force, not ready to win another championship. I was frustrated, upset. Coach was angry. He didn't know who to blame. Definitely wasn't finna blame himself. Typical. He was always blaming and yelling at me. I was trying my hardest. At the end of the game, I just did what I do best. Attack the basket. It didn't really matter too much on the scoreboard, but for my own sanity, I was just glad to see the ball go in the basket. Even in junk time, they say seeing the ball go in the hoop affects your future games. And I took that mantra to heart. One of my teammates, man, it was like they was shooting a rock to a peephole. They couldn't hit a shot to save their lives. We got blown out, but after the game it meant the most. Kobe sought me out, dabbed me up. Look, he just got through dropping 32 points on our head tops. But he told me he could see the dog in me. Told me to keep at it. Just keep studying, being a student of the game, you'll be alright. I could appreciate that. As I walked off the court, I felt a little bit better about myself. While I may have gotten dropped off, I didn't give up. As far as the Lakers, it was clear and evident that they were the best team in the NBA. But I couldn't be focused on that right now, because for us, it's when I go home time. But at the end of the 2004 regular season, the Knicks and the Indiana Pacers were both tied, 41 wins apiece. One team is the 8th seed, one is the 9th. And today, the loser will officially be eliminated from the 2004 NBA playoffs. Meanwhile, the winner will secure a playoff spot. So this game means a lot, not to mention the Pacers and Knicks rivalry runs deep, just as Reggie Miller was at the tail end of his career himself. But tonight, all things are on the line, and the Pacers, on paper, way more stacked than us. With our injuries, and Steph's still out, the Knicks are looking to me to lead the ship, to be the captain. Matter of fact, Coach started me at point guard this game, something I had never done in my career to this point. While I was excited, at this point in the season, if I screwed up, I would get the blame, rookie or not. So early on in the game, the offense was running as smooth as possible. Coach did it smartly. He didn't expect me to get no 10 assists this game. He had me running off the ball and getting loose. Ultimately, he just did not want me guarding Reggie Miller. Even though he was old, he was still a bucket. But at the beginning of this game, we were running our offense to a T. Talk about everybody was getting hands on the ball, and everybody was getting to the basket with ease. And my matchup on the night was another New York City legend, Kenny Anderson. Somebody I used to look up to myself. My pops used to talk about him as well. But tonight, I couldn't worry about all that. The objective was clear. Win, and we're in. We lose, you're not going to hear the end of it. At one point, Jermaine O'Neal took over the game. A lot of people feel like he was one of the best emerging NBA centers in the league. I had to agree with him. And Reggie Miller got off. Thankfully, I wasn't guarding him, but it didn't matter. Allen Houston couldn't keep up. In the second half, it was such a back and forth game, it started to get a little sloppy. Remember, I caught a transition steal from Reggie Miller, then I gave it right back after trying to score over Jermaine O'Neal. That was just a symbol of this game. Two teams fighting for the bottom seed. And hey, the East wasn't all that in a bag of chips, but it was very much physical. So we had to keep up. And with Ron Artest sometimes switching on me, I had to use my speed to get around him, because if not, he was going to bully me with his size. And I did just that. But if you thought this matchup was sweet, you're sadly mistaken. Kenny Anderson, who was 34 years old at the time, still took it to me. And at one point, he was approaching 20 points in the matchup. And at the end of the game, 2 minutes left, the team was looking at me to hit big shots. And after that Miami game, I wasn't afraid of the moment. I knew what was on the line and at stake for the squad. When you're from New York City, it felt like every game you step out onto the Rucker or any court, it's a big time game with a lot of eyes on you. So the pressure didn't faze me. In the huddles, I was leading the way. For the Pacers, Reggie Miller was like, listen, I'm trying to make the playoffs for my last year in my career, potentially. So let's step up. With the ball in my hands again at the end of the game, Kenny Anderson was still guarding me. I shot over him like I ain't even see him, and I pointed at him. Kind of disrespectful to a New York City legend if you ask me, but in that moment, I ain't see legend. I saw lunch meat. And after being down by as much as 7 at the end of the game, I had this crazy layup, hit the ground, rolled over it, and got the foul, and tried to go to complete the and one. The mission. With 2 minutes left exactly, I had the ball in my hands at the free throw line in the tie game at 105. And I would hit the free throw to give us a 1-point lead. 106-105, we put the ball back in Allen Houston's hands and he couldn't convert. And these are the veterans on my team missing shots at the end of the game while I'm hitting. And in transition, they found Jermaine O'Neal in the basket and he gave the Pacers a 1-point lead. So with 1:20 left, once again I decided to take matters into my own hands and I missed it. Shout out to Dikembe for the cleanup. But at this point we were still down 1 point. And with a stop, Jermaine O'Neal hitting the side of the backboard, I gave the ball up in transition to Van Horn. We had a chance to take the lead. What does our veteran do? Throw it away. And in transition, I got back fast, but Jermaine O'Neal was the one that caught the ball. And I couldn't do nothing underneath the basket. It's basically helpless. The Pacers had a 3-point lead and coach called a timeout. And I'm telling my veterans, we need a bucket right now. And what happens? Turnover. All-NBA defender Ron Artest gets the steal. With the Pacers up 3, our only hope is that they miss a shot. Much to everybody's surprise, Ron Artest attacked the basket way too early and missed a layup. With us down 3, Van Horn finds Allen Houston in the corner for a transition 3 to tie the game, and he buries it. On the road, the veteran stepped up. The same guy that Penny Hardaway left the team because he was trying to start over just hit the biggest 3 of our season and tied the game at 111 apiece. While it seemed like we were struggling and reeling at the end, that shot just kept our playoff hopes alive. But we still got to get a stop on the other end. With the ball in Kenny Anderson's hand, the same thing I said for myself applies to him. New York City legend, I know he wasn't going to get fazed, but I'm guarding him. So I took it in myself to roll up my shorts, get in my defensive stance, and lock him up. He took me right, went behind the back left, but Scott Pollard didn't even set a screen. I just got lost behind him, and Kenny Anderson finished with a crazy layup, and I fouled him as well. He got the and one over me to put the Pacers up 2 and told me to be quiet in front of thousands. Played me like we was on the court in New York City. But I couldn't do nothing but point in my chest, tell my teammates and my coaching staff, it's on me. I fouled him, and I gave up the bucket. I couldn't believe it. 6 seconds left, I put us down 2 points. With Anderson stepping up to the free throw line, the Pacers got a chance to go up 3. Being that we're not the greatest 3-point shooting team, I was praying that he missed his free throw. So I started talking trash to him. Look, I already give up the bucket. If I can get in his head and make him miss this free throw, maybe it'll be okay. So he stepped up to the line, the ball in his hand, the legend bricked it. We got the rebound and called a timeout ASAP. 2-point game. At this point, we just needed 1 bucket to force overtime with 6 seconds on the clock. But in the timeout, coach didn't even look my way because of my mistake. So I felt like I wasn't even going to be involved in the final play. That's until OG Walter Brown leaned in the coach and said something profound. He said, let the Rook get the shot. If we lose, blame me. And he looked away. He stood up for me when nobody else did. So the play was for me. The ball was in Allen Houston's hands and he inbounded it to me. And while I was going to attack the basket, the Pacers read the play and swarmed me. So I had no choice but to pull up for a long-range 3. While I don't hit threes at all, this wasn't my forte. Season was on the line, so I give it my best spin ever. With the ball in the air and my heart beating out of my chest. Drained it. All net. I just hit the biggest shot of my life. And I sent the New York Knicks to the 2004 NBA playoffs, beating our biggest rivals in the Indiana Pacers on the road. I mean, you couldn't draw up a better ending to my rookie season than hit the game-winning shot, much less from three. Everybody knows I'm not a three-point shooter at all. I mean, this ain't even a three-point shooting league for real. But for me, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to send my team forward. That's what I did. But while I was celebrating, I couldn't help but think about Walter Brown, my OG. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even had a chance to take that shot. I would have been standing right there looking like Kenny Anderson with my head down, distraught. Thanks to him, this play happened. And while I would never take a three-pointer like this, I need to do what had to be done for us to win. Playoff bound, just like we drew it up. 8th seed, 7th seed, doesn't matter. We right where we belong. I'm ready. The best time of the year. It's April. That only means one thing in the NBA. It's playoff time. And our destination finds us in Motor City, taking on the Detroit Pistons. And after the Orlando Magic lost their last game of the season, we actually ended up rising to number 7 seed. That doesn't mean much, because the Pistons are looking just as ready as we are. So this should be a fun series. Only difference is, Stephon Marbury is ready to make his comeback into the lineup. And after a couple of practices, the coaching staff decided to throw him in the starting lineup, making me return back to the bench. And I couldn't believe it. After all I just did for this team to lead us to the playoffs, when everybody had us counted out, now I'm coming off the bench in the playoffs. And I'm sitting there next to my OG, wondering what's going on. And we're getting pulverized by the Detroit Pistons in Game 1. And I check in, immediately having to chase Rip Hamilton off screens. And to make matters worse, in transition from my first shot attempt, get blocked by this milk dud, chicken nugget in a jersey looking dude named Darwin Ham. I ain't never really heard a dude like that, but I gotta respect it. From 1 through 12, everybody on the Detroit Pistons lineup came out ready to play. With our lineup shakeup, it seems like we thought things were sweet, and we got it handed to us Game 1. And for myself, I just found myself running off screens on defense trying to chase Rip Hamilton around, the mid-range assassin. And it just made me more tired on offense. My jump shot just wasn't hitting at all. I couldn't save the team this time. We got our stuff handed to us Game 1. Our only open the series came in Game 2. The game was actually close. We had a 2-point lead. The Pistons had the ball, looking to tie the game up, or so we thought. Allen Houston playing pretty good defense on Chauncey Billups. He reintroduced himself to us. He's no longer Chauncey. After hitting this shot, this three-pointer, to get the Pistons a 1-point lead with 1 second left, they called him Mr. Big Shot. And the Pistons went up 2-0. And with the series returning back to the Garden, the fans had slight hope. But to be honest, the return of Stephon Marbury may have killed this team. We were barely putting it together as it was. And while you would expect a talent like him returning back to the lineup to do wonders, when you got guys playing regular rotation minutes like myself, sending them back to the bench and shrinking them in rotation out of nowhere just ruins the entire rhythm of a team. And don't get it confused, I still was able to get some buckets up in the playoffs. Not nearly as much as I had in the regular season. And while just a little over a week ago, the excitement was there after my game-winning shot against the Indiana Pacers, it seemed like all hope had faded away. After Game 4 in the Garden, the Pistons torched us. With the season on the line, Chauncey Billups closed the book and sent us home packing. The Detroit Pistons swept us 4-0. Just like that, my rookie season comes to a close. And in a season filled with many ups and downs, I walk off Madison Square Garden one last time for the season. Even though my head is down, I'm actually proud of myself. I fought through adversity, and playing for my hometown team, a lot of things could go wrong. But in this season, I feel like I closed it out the proper way. Got the respect in my city, my teammates, and the fan base. And I couldn't help but think about Walter Brown. It was going to be my last season playing with him, but I appreciated every moment we had. All the one-on-ones we used to run after practice really stuck with me. It really changed my whole mindset going forward. He retired at the end of the season, and after getting sent home in the playoffs, all I could think about was all the moments and ones we had after all those practices. If it's one thing I remember him telling me, it's to remain a student of the game. So soak up all the knowledge you can right now, because you never know where the game will take you. 20 years later, the year is 2024, and the game has taken me far. I've been retired from the NBA for the last 10 seasons, and I had a great career. Maybe you guys will learn more about it later, but I'm here to tell you right now that I've been coaching from high school to college, and I'm currently closing another season being an assistant coach next to Ime Udoka for the Houston Rockets. And as this 2024-2025 season comes to a close, I'm looking to take the next step. After being around the game for over 20 years, I'm feeling like it's my time to be the head honcho of an NBA team, the head coach. I've had a lot of great people come across my life, from the Cobes, AIs, and TMacs, to my own classmates like LeBron, Carmelo, D-Wade, and even some of the new guys. Not to mention my OG, Walter Brown. And if you wonder where he's at, he's currently the head coach at Grambling State University, HBCU, doing it big over there, rebuilding that program. But as for myself, I've been with the Houston Rockets for the last couple of years. But going into the summer, I told my agent if there's any head coaching vacancies, sign me up for an interview. And he told me there was one team in particular. They had just fired their head coach after a pretty successful season. They was looking to move on and get a new voice in the locker room. Apparently they had their eye on me the whole time. So I went in for an interview and I snagged the position. While I was shocked that they even let go of the former head coach, I told them I'll be the man for the job. They had a current superstar and an emerging one, not to mention loads of talent. It felt like they just needed a new voice in the locker room. With my experience and my knowledge, I was the perfect fit. Well, who am I to say no? And I was eager to get started. So allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Cory Wells, the 2025 head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans.